track. Nigga, hustle fucking hard. Block up. Since day one, had to run up a hill. Since day one, we regret getting that deal.
Can you hear me? Dot. We would go to Chickasaw Gardens and have a picnic on the lakeshore bank, feeding the duck. And for my my first birthday party was at Chuck E. Cheese's, a Children's Pizza Arcade, and then to the Memphis Zoo. These are my favorite memories as a family before the hardships of the struggle finally reached our family, resembling a dark cloud that seemed to always linger in the distance in my life. At the age of 8 years old, I was adopted in 2005. While growing up in foster care, I didn't eat full meals. My diet consisted of only bread, leftover macaroni, and peanut butter. There was no nutrition. Eventually changing my middle name from Georgie to Peter. The name Georgie came from my great-grandfather, who I'm originally named after. But when adopted, I decided to change my middle name to Peter, based off of a fictional character from a Disney book and movie, Peter Pan. The moment before I officially changed my name, I saw Peter Pan on an advertisement on the side of a jar of peanut butter. I grew up as a baby, alone behind the couch. Whenever I would get hungry, I would hurriedly steal bread from the kitchen. This was already my second foster home. Maureen Anastasia Wyrick, my social worker, soon became my foster parent, eventually adopting me. This woman took me in, nurtured me, protected and sheltered me. She explained to me that living with her, she would do everything in her power to ensure food was readily available if I needed it, introducing me to snacks and, for the first time, nutrients. It was her God-given motherly instincts that I was aware of that assured me, allowing me to put my trust in her. These instincts led her to take care of me as if she gave birth to her own son. I was not biologically hers, but legally I was. Adoption was her only option in having children because she was unable to give birth and have her own kids. Soon after I was settled living with Maureen Wyrick, she adopted 2 more kids, and our home was now both Jesse and Mindy Moody Davenport. Living with a brother and sister was the company I needed, and now I wouldn't be home alone. Having human presence was a reassuring feeling for me because life felt so meaningless at a young age. As a baby, I was neglected and abandoned. The day I went home with Maureen Wyrick was the day I experienced the feeling of bliss. I felt blessed. Not only did I have my own bed, she constantly assured me that she loved me. At the time, loving her unconditionally was the only way I could respond, by loving her back. I learned at an early age that nobody's perfect. Only moments, memories, and feelings can be perfect. The first week living with Maureen was a week of my 4th birthday. I was only 3 years old upon meeting her. On a Monday morning at 9:59 a.m. in Waukegan, Illinois, on the day of June 23rd, 1997, Thomas Georgie Wright was born. Even though I was born in Illinois, My entire childhood and life has been spent within the city limits of Memphis, Tennessee. Amazingly, I am able to recall early memories of myself and my family since before I was 3 years old. In my adolescence while growing up, I journeyed across my home city, Memphis, on foot. It didn't take long because I would travel every day. Soon I became familiar with main roads and the overpopulated neighborhoods. At the age of 10 years old, I consciously began exploring the entire city of Memphis. In the beginning, I was really young, and my only true motivation to explore at the time was an internet connection. I needed Wi-Fi to play my favorite game on my Nintendo DS, Pokemon. Passing strangers and citizens eventually became familiar and recognized my face, just from me standing on corners of neighborhoods and intersections using Wi-Fi. The amount of time I spent walking and standing outside, a number of people began recognizing me. From strangers to my own family, to friends of family, and friends as well. It was at an early age I came to the realization of the average person being inconsiderate and selfish. People will see you as a convenience or as an inconvenience. While in the streets, I would witness my friends and my own family ignore me and passed me by. I gave myself a nickname, the sidewalker, or sometimes the curb runner. And when I got my hands on my first bike, I utilized it as my form of transportation, getting me to farther destinations at a quicker pace, reaching places like Germantown, Olive Branch, Cordova, and Whitehaven. By the age of 15, I was already fit and accustomed to walking these distances without the need of a bicycle. And learning the value of time in my own hands, I gained the responsibility of my life and future. From then on, making conscious decisions in the perspective of long and short-term effects. On my journey to understand and lead a successful life, I found myself comparing my personal life to the greats and the not-so-great men around me. Upon differentiating my mentors from the rest, I became enlightened. I was surrounded by many father figures in my community, and I assumed they all saw themselves how I saw them, as great men. After comparing them to myself, I concluded that I was an individual among society, and that I was uniquely made. I was a uniquely made type of man. No longer did I see the need to compare myself to any other man or any other person ever again. Explained to me to be a man in today's society, I need to own a car, a house, and I was required to have a bank account while paying all of my bills. I was unsuccessful at accomplishing these things and saw myself labeled as ineligible to be considered a man. With more acquaintances than friends, I had little relationships with both men and women. I had no significant other complementing my existence, and as a human male, I was alienated in society and alien to others, foreign. I had a fun childhood, but it was definitely a difficult upbringing. Throughout growing up, faith and optimism was one of the few things I held on to, even during the times I endured disrespect and belittlement from these same so-called great men who, in my opinion, are now only considered good men. In the section of Memphis that I resided in, just by visiting the local corner store and gas stations, you could get an accurate estimate of who all lived in the neighborhood, a general depiction of the residents in the area. All you had to do was stand on the corner, the block. Everybody has a need to go to the store at some point of the week, whether it's to buy gasoline for their car, cigarillos or tobacco. One day, as a kid, the store owner accused me of stealing candy. Luckily, a gentleman whom I knew immediately vouched for me, and even offered to pay to clear my name. As it turned out, it was a misunderstanding, and the store owner had made a mistake. Ever since then, the store and I have become well acquainted. In fact, the family that owned the store now know my family, and we are regular customers here at the store. My morning routine included visiting this store during my morning run, sometimes just to say good morning. Ma was her nickname for me, the store owner. She was who I went to talk to about my personal situations, becoming a form of therapy for myself, because I truly needed to vent the bottled emotions and thoughts I was containing. I didn't have many people to talk to in my life. Ma always listened to what I had to say to her, and in turn gave me motherly advice. Throughout my teenhood into my adult life, visiting this corner store, the block, I ran into many people from my local neighborhood. Having money was important, but wasn't instilled in me until the end of my time in high school. Growing up, money intrigued me greatly, but I was more focused on living my life, having fun, and enjoy attending events with my family and friends. Money was interesting, but not of importance compared to my life and the people in it. As a young adult and becoming older, I began focusing all of my time, thoughts, and resources into getting money. I dedicated my life to hustling day and night. In the beginning, I sucked at hustling. Honestly, I was doing worse than bad. In my opinion, I was doing horribly. And in between sales on the block, I would try to push for donations and an effort for voluntary support. I visited every block and corner in my local area. At the time, the only thing I was selling was a mixtape composed by a local artist whom I've known since we were children. The feedback we received from the public was at best mediocre. We hustled these CDs independently together and separately on the block. Compared to how long we hustled in the streets, we rarely made a sale or received donations. Rarely. I stood firm every night, but the chump change was just not enough. Not once did I think to give up. Eventually, however, I did stop. On the block, I continued to scheme a better plan to execute. I prayed religiously for a better future and for a better life. Eventually, the idea of creating my own book was imagined, resulting in me publishing my memoir, The Mind of Kilo Baby, the name of my alternative ego, my alter ego. As a high school graduate, I firmly declare, under suspicion of subliminal concepts, that the public schooling and educational system is largely flawed. After graduating from Overton High School on May 25, 2016, I forced myself to forget the initial education I acquired over 13 years, to relearn independently the education introduced to me in kindergarten up to 12th grade. In 3.5 years, I re-educated myself of 13 years of both researchable, public and online searchable education It's because of my miseducation that I find hard to acknowledge and credit my intelligence to the public school's education, taking responsibility for attaining my own knowledge and wisdom. This economy is in need of a person to publicly speak out. As a citizen, I have done countless of applications, attended numerous tried just to fail job interviews. I know my worth and my work ethic has been unjustly underappreciated and overlooked. The current lower and middle class of labor are not truly defined as employees, but more accurately defined as being pressured within a system of indentured servitude, which is in fact an institutional systemized slavery. The collective citizenship of the community's population is unconsciously, voluntarily submitting to slavery. Since the age of 16 years old, I have been able to and have legally worked. No matter my appearance, what I could offer as an employee to any broad range of establishment, I constantly and consistently was devalued and criticized by authoritative figures and peers. During these events of my demise, I proudly state, not once did I complain. Even with the minimum wages, every paycheck was received with a genuine, from the heart smile. I am an able body who's fully focused and dedicated to his work and labors. Hidden within this system of economics, I find that having human-like qualities, like emotions or feelings, are frowned upon and overlooked, regardless of the fact that being human and showing our transparency as mere humans allows us opportunities to become better human beings. Indirectly, I do not blame the system we live in and participate in. This system is what makes up the government. I directly blame the particular individuals who are running it, leading it, and controlling the lives of the people of America. These individuals are easily influenced by this system and its power. I directly blame these irresponsible people of higher positions. They are the ones who have the most power individually, but do the most meaningless actions. Many do not know that this current active system is halfway designed and greatly flawed, mainly outlining undeniable rights and not of an ideal society. As human survival in America begins, we are born with a life as a citizen immediately, with a citizenship of a broken government system, while hoping for a broken system to fix ourselves and our communities. We are sadly broken ourselves from the beginning. Having two mothers is a blessing to a child who felt for a long time that he was cursed. When I was born, my siblings and I were removed from the home of our mother by the Department of Human Services for neglect and for living in an unfit environment for children. In the beginning of my life, I was confined in mental solitary confinement. I was not a noisy baby, and I did not feel the need to cry, as there was chaos around me from yelling to screaming. My brothers and sisters were all split up with promises by social workers that we would remain in contact with each other. We lived in foster care. Soon I would meet my soon-to-be second mother, Maureen Wyrick, my new mom, who was originally assigned as my social worker. It wasn't long until she accepted full responsibility for me and became my legal parent and guardian. Beyond the idea of sentimental value, the love we had for each other was eternal and unconditional. Since the first day I met her, I was in love with this woman and her spiritual energy. She saw the loneliness that projected from my eyes that very first day we met. I used my speech to accurately describe how meaningful things were to me. It was that first day of meeting each other She asked did I want to come home with her. And just by her asking me, this was an answer to my early prayers. For I used to sleep at night hoping and wishing to live with a nice person. And nice is not even close to describing who my late mother was. For the next 19 years of our lives, we cared about and protected each other. We had hoped we would never depart from each other spiritually. You have been my company and companion until September 1st, 2019. Physically, at the age of 57, you changed form and left me here in Memphis, Tennessee on earth. I met you at the age of 3, while you were 39. Even though you passed away, I feel like even after your death, I owe you my life. You saved my life, preserved my innocence, and my human-like well-being. Though you saw my humanness in the beginning, my humaneness in the beginning, I am finally recognizing it for myself, for I've held a lot of hurt and anger and pain inside of me, inside of my body. You and your husband made this decision, and after taking me away from foster care as an orphan child, you both took responsibility in protecting, nurturing, and caring for me. Eventually, you both loved me as if you birthed me yourselves. I cannot thank you enough for not giving up on me until I grew up and out of childhood and into adolescence and finally reaching adulthood. I thank you for this was a relentless, lifelong act of kindness that deserves an eternal promise, which is that I shall always love you two forever. I promise your memory is honored and cherished in my heart and mind forever.
Had to lose the rights to I feel. Since you're one, had been focused on getting our meal. And ever since those struggle days, I know you couldn't feel how I feel today. And ever since those struggle days, I know you couldn't feel how I feel today.